Right, lads, we're back again. This week we're in the Apex again. Apex, basically, I think it's nearly like 111. Of course, Bonfirm versus Brown. Now, this is coming up way later. This is coming up on the Saturday. I usually don't make these this late. The main reason is I thought the lock of the week was off yesterday. If you followed up with the Apex, you know who the lock of the week is before I say it now. But I thought it was gone. It's not. Last week we didn't do too badly. The lock landed, a few different things landed. Might have cost like Isaac DeGorian the job, who knows. But anyways, let's get down to the lock of the week.
Chris Takapadilla.
Yes, so this week's lock of the week is going to be Big Taco Chris Padilla. Now, personally, the reason I was originally very confident in Chris Padilla. I thought Chris Padilla's last fight against Jai Herbert was a bit weird. It was a bit kind of not really anything in the clip from either man. Jai Herbert or him didn't really go for it. It was one of those things where you're kind of watching the fight like, what's kind of going on. I do think that they got it right. I do think Chris Padilla deserved the nod in the night. It's one of those things where you kind of look at it like, if there was more thrown from Herbert, if Herbert was just a bit more active, he could have easily snagged it. It was one of those weird fights in London. Ismail Bonfirm has obviously come in at 161 for the 155 limit. Now, I do think that's a pretty big kind of, weight bully thing. He's done it once or twice in his career. He's never won when he's missed weight either, which is another big thing to look at. Personally, to me, I think Padilla is just more all-rounded here. I think Padilla is able to outpoint him if that goes that direction. Bonfirm is not really a person who has great 15-minute cardio. If he doesn't get a fight done in the first round, and if he tries to push for the first round, I think Padilla still has him on the ground. I think he's the better grappler. I think that the better striker is probably Bonfirm, but not by a massive amount. I think that this is very, very even. Now, Padilla has moved in odds. He's moved to 11 to 10 evens on some apps to be able to back because of the weight miss. I was trying to get this up, but I wasn't genuinely sure whether this fight's still going to be on, so I didn't record this yesterday because I didn't want to upload this and then come in and said locks off. It is still on. I do think the UFC should take more than 20% purse. I think it should be 40 or 50 to really, really punish someone who misses weight. But anyways, that's what I think. I think Padilla with the better grappling. Give me the decision. 29-28, I'm going to say, to Padilla. And I'll move down to the favourites. Right, so we are now inside the favourites. Now, the favourites is a bit of a different one because I actually may have forgot to, I think, add the odds of what fucking things fight would have been. But look, I'll run through it. Jacqueline, how do you say this person's name? Jacqueline. Okay, to be honest, I forgot how to say Jacqueline's second name, so we're just going to call her Jacqueline. Jacqueline herself fares 2-5. She's fighting Bona Silva. Now, to be honest, Jacqueline has... look, I'm not going to waste too much time talking about it. She's just one of those women that is good at getting decisions. She's able to fight for a good 15 minutes. There's nothing really else about it. She doesn't have absolutely brilliant striking. Nothing that's going to cause any too much danger here. Submission game's okay and grappling. She should take a pretty easy 30-27 here. I don't see too much issue. I just don't see a finish. I don't see anything that interesting. I can see maybe 30-27, nothing special. Anyways, we'll move ahead to Ricky Simone. Now, I'm picking Ricky Simone over Ronnie Barros. Now, Ricky Simone has actually beat Merab Dvalishvili, the champ, strangely. He's actually submitted him. And this is something that I love about Ricky Simone. He's a fucking live wire. You would struggle to keep him down. You struggle to really be able to get anything over on him. If you think you have the grappling advantage, Ricky just darts like a fucking bullet and gets straight back up, straight into a great grappling situation. His striking's brilliant. Ronnie Barros has obviously come back into the frame after beating Peyton Talbot, which I had money on as a forfeit, which not much of a forfeit, but you can't blame me. Had money on him as a forfeit and then it happened. I can see Ricky Simone being able to do the explosiveness, as I keep saying here, over 15 minutes. I think Ricky Simone's very live for a finish here, but I'll say decision just because Ronnie Barros has like a steel chin. So I'll say another 29-28 Ricky Simone. Now this is to not go the distance, and I don't think I have the odds here of Joel Emmers versus Hyder Emil. I think it was 4-6 or 4-11. I just don't have it here. You see it in the ACA. Now the reason I'm going to go in no distance, and the main reason I haven't picked the fighter this week, is because I think the odds in his card are horrendous for favourites. So there's no real point. But I do think that this fight won't go the distance. Hyder Emil really has the sort of brawl or stall sort of style, and I do think it's a brawl all the way. You can see in his last 2 fights he was finishing 20 seconds and gets the finish in a minute. You know, they're really just fights. I think, yeah, going to be a firefight against Pretty Boy Jamal Emmers. There's going to be a firefight here. One's hitting the mat, and yeah, I don't know which one. I don't know what to spoil which one. But anyways, one of them's going to hit the mat, and I think no distance is perfect. And this isn't Josh Hockett, or Hockett, however the fuck you say his name. This isn't WWE Promo Man for 4 to 6. This is under 1.5. I don't know why I don't have the under 1.5. I'll add that in post. But it's under 1.5. Main reason I'm looking at this is because Max Grimmish, the person he's fighting, just genuinely looks like the same Contender Series fighter that he has already fought. To be honest, it looks the exact same as the record. He's in the UFC after beating Lotw 9-9. All of his fights look the exact same as the bag of milk he fought in the Contender Series. A lad who gassed in quite physically, I think, a minute and a half. Couldn't see any difference here. Hogan probably picks up another finish. I'm not going to say a submission this time, because knowing that he'll probably be able to knock this lad out just by simply being able to just land enough strikes to be able to knock him out because of exhaustion. Pure Kimbo slice, that a 5,000 situation. So give me Hogan on that, and that's going to be the yak. Move down to the underdogs. Now, this week we have... four underdogs, so you're getting blessed. So we'll start with Chris Leroy Duncan. He's fighting Mark Tulio. Now, I think the reason I'm picking CDL here is that he's a tough cunt to get out of there. And Marcus Tulio, to me, if he can't seem to finish someone, his 15-minute cardio in an actual decision fight isn't great. He kind of falls off midway the second round, and it's kind of, you know, I do believe that CDL has a striking advantage here. I know he doesn't have the reach advantage, but I can see him having a striking advantage. I can see him being able to keep this on the feet, just be able to point and get a decision. I don't see a finish inside this. CDL is probably more likely to get the finish, but I do think a decision here at 15-8, solid stuff. We'll move into the main event. Randy Brown is who I'm going to pick over Bonfirm. Now, personally, to me, Randy Brown has only lost to the champion. That's one of his only losses on his record to Big Giacomo, and he has gone on a fight winning streak since. You have to say that this man, his finish of Moscow Skulov, that shows that he is brilliant boxing. I love Rude Boy. His finish of Nicholas Dalby last year was unbelievable. I had Dalby picked that night. But look, I love Rude Boy. I'm not going to say no to Rude Boy. I do think Bonfirm robbed Stephen Thompson, if we're going to be honest. Anyone with a pair of eyes that's realistic, that was a robbery. So if we're going to be honest here, Bonfirm to me on a Randy Brown to me in a 5-round fight. Rude Boy, I can see Rude Boy being able to take this over 5 rounds. I think a finish in this fight's very likely, to be honest. I don't think that Bonfirm, I think both the Bonfirm brothers have very poor cardio for really what they are. Obviously Gabriel is a lot better, but I'm still not sure about 5-round cardio. I think Rude Boy takes it. I think Rude Boy can land something big and finish him. So give me Rude Boy at 6-4. We move into Miles Johns. He's fighting Daniel Marcos. Now, personally speaking, I thought Daniel Marcos was robbing decisions for a long time. The man from Peru. I love Peru, but I have to be realistic. Daniel Marcos was robbing a lot of decisions in a lot of fights. He shouldn't have been getting any decisions. It was kind of funny for a time, because he didn't really have enough output to realistically kind of warrant them, but he was, because of his stone head, a big shovel head. So, yeah. To me, Miles Johns is on a bit of a losing streak, but I also believe that Miles Johns can just be more active here. I think that's what beat Daniel Marcos in his last fight. He just literally only throws one strike and doesn't take the head off the centre line. If he hasn't worked on that, which I have a high suspicion that he hasn't, Miles Johns is just going to be able to land here. I'd say another decision. I'd probably say another 29-28, pretty close split. If he robs another decision, I'll be absolutely raging. But look, we'll move down to Pretty Boy Jamal Emmers. Now, as I said, I didn't want to spoil the last fight, but I do believe that Jamal Emmers, if this is going into a brawl, Hyder Emil's chin is probably more likely to be cracked, as we can see by Jose Delago, who, you know, hit him with a quick knee and quick jab and literally just stomped him straight in the ground. I can see Jamal Emmers doing that. Jamal Emmers and him are very much the same. This will be a firefight in the first round. Someone's going to sleep. I see it being Hyder Emil. I see him getting caught by a big right on the cage. But we'll get down to the Yaka, as I already have it backed, but hold on. So here we are with the Yaka, under 1.5 of 4-6, Jacqueline Calavanti, Ricky Simona, no distance, 10 on 50 back, can't go anything wrong with that. And anyways, if you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button or hit the subscribe button. I will see you on the next one. I will be back. I'm sorry for this being out so late. It's just more the simple fact I wasn't sure what's the lot going to be on. But anyways, if you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button or hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.